I thought President Zelensky was very powerful, as many of you watched. He made the case very strongly. When you think about what President Biden should do, I think there's a bipartisan movement right here. Provide them the MiGs. Provide them the planes where they can create a no-fly zone. Provide them the armament that they need to continue to fight a war that they did not create. I thought the video was one of the most moving moments in there. Made the case of the murdering of innocent people, that war crimes are being committed, that America and the world cannot sit by and ignore. We need to put a stop to this. And I think greater pressure, greater armament, and why the MiGs were not provided weeks ago, as many of us requested, put them at a disadvantage.
Is there any scenario where a no-fly zone, the no-fly zone that he requested, would be supported by you and by the United States?
Look, I think right now, provide them the MiGs that they can create a no-fly zone. The entire time, speaking with those in Ukraine and the president himself, he's never asked for American men or women to be in a battle. All he's ever asked for is give us the opportunity to defend ourselves. Don't let us fight with sticks. I've had conversations with the president long before this moment came. My advice to him was provide them the armament earlier to deter Putin from ever making these decisions. And the entire time, President Biden always said it would be the sanctions afterwards. And then when the sanctions came, he said it'd take months to work. Well, the Ukrainian people cannot wait months. The world cannot wait months and we sit by and watch innocent people being murdered. With that, let me turn it over to our witness.
Thank you. President Zelensky just gave an incredibly powerful address to Congress. And I think people got to see once again what we've been seeing for weeks, and that is just why President Zelensky is inspiring the people of Ukraine and people all around the world who are rallying behind these strong, incredibly tough people during a brutally difficult invasion by Putin. When President Zelensky showed that video, you really got to see firsthand the sheer brutality of what Putin is doing inside Ukraine. It was very difficult to watch. It was heartbreaking, but it shows you that there's nothing less than genocide going on in Ukraine by Putin and his army. And so as Zelensky made a plea to the United States, to President Biden, he's continued to reiterate that the people of Ukraine just want more tools to be able to defend their country, especially right now to be able to control the sky. And that's why getting these MiGs in immediately is so critical. The longer President Biden waits trying to figure out excuses to not offend Putin, it's costing lives in Ukraine. He's got to make that happen. It's a plea Zelensky continued to make, as well as a plea for other things that I think the American people want to do to give them the tools that they need to defend their country. So as we look where we are, this is another opportunity for America to step up too and take away Putin's leverage on energy. There's no reason that Putin should be pocketing hundreds of millions of dollars a day by selling oil to America and the United States when we could cut that off right now by opening up our reserves, opening up areas that have been closed by President Biden to leasing so that Putin does not have that leverage over America or Europe to finance this brutal invasion. So we're going to continue to stand with the people of Ukraine and pray for them that they're able to have the tools to defend themselves against what Putin's doing. Now turn it over to our conference chair, Lisa Stefan.
The American people stand strongly with the people of Ukraine. The speech we just heard from President Zelensky was inspiring and talk about a leader who has risen to a catastrophic challenge and a catastrophic crisis in his country. He outlined the fact that this is the most significant national security crisis in Europe since the end of World War II. The stakes could not be higher. This administration has been far too slow, not only in their implementation of sanctions, but the lack of completeness of sanctions. The Ukrainian people need those MiGs, and they need them now. They needed them yesterday. House Republicans have been united in advocating for strong, tough sanctions for months predating the invasion. We stand strongly in support of MiGs and making sure that the weapons and ammunition that is needed get to the Ukrainian people as quickly as possible. And just as a new mom, It is heart-wrenching to watch the video that President Zelensky just played in terms of the bombing of maternity wards and the war crimes that are being committed today. Make no mistake, there will be consequences on the global stage for Vladimir Putin, who is a war criminal and a thug. And I'll turn it over to our leader, Kevin McCarthy.
Questions? Yes, sir.
How does the conference propose transferring the MiGs from Poland to the Ukrainians in terms of what's been discussed? And what is the proposal that you all believe should be?
I think we can move forward exactly as they said. If they transfer it to America, it's no different than us providing the javelins or others. The problem is the delay. The problem is this administration has delayed time and again, creating the situation to be worse, giving the wrong message to Putin. When President Biden said in his press conference, well, if they take a little part of Ukraine, as though that was okay. The slowness of moving weaponry to Ukraine to have a deterrent where Russia would not invade. All of that's been a mistake. The weeks that he has waited now about whether the MiGs could go. How many people have died? Maternity wards have been bombed. You've watched in the video itself. You've watched a leader stand in a capital that's being bombed, not requesting that American men and women go into war. Simply help us provide the weapons that we can defend ourselves. This is an unwarranted war that they did not ask for, but they're willing to defend the right of freedom. We should stand with anyone who's willing to defend freedom and against the atrocities that Putin is doing. Thank you all very
Leader
much.
McCarthy, do you think Zelensky changed minds in that room?
I think walking into that room ahead of time, I believe there was a bipartisan support to provide the MiGs. I know on the Republican side, we've been requesting this for quite some time. I think that has changed on the Democrat side, that they're more supportive of it now. I think that room's united to defend and help Ukraine get the weaponry they need to defend themselves.
Leader McCarthy, he also called for much tougher sanctions. Rob Foreman, who just came back from Poland, is calling for much tougher sanctions on their Russia's global energy revenue, not just banning their oil imports here, but he wants much tougher sanctions, basically no Russian products coming into the United States, and on banks, etc. But the administration hasn't been willing to go there yet. Wondering if there's bipartisan support, do you think, in Congress to do something like that?
I believe there is. We should strengthen our sanctions every single day Putin continues this murder until he stops. But we should do more than that. Provide them the MiGs so they can have a no-fly zone created by themselves with their own pilots. Let them defend themselves. That's all they're asking for. But let's ramp up the sanctions as well so Putin and the rest of them feel the pain of the murders they are causing. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.